Hey there, Fig Team. Um, Here to help you guys with the updated process of creating and submitting new listing agreements. So, in the past, there were a couple steps that were involved. We have eliminated a handful of those steps. So, we're just showing you here the updated process. So, you'll still be creating your transaction, your listing agreement in dotloop first, putting your docs together, sending it out to your client. And then you'll still go into SISU, create the file in there, and then submit your listing agreement form. So to start things off, we're going to add our loop. We're going to use my house as the example. Once you've put in your property address, you'll hit continue and you will select the loop template, Fig Team listing agreement loop template. You'll hit continue. You don't have to add a photo if you don't want to, and you can hit done. Once the loop has been created, view loop, and it will populate with all of the documentation that could be needed for a standard listing, transfer of listing, or vacant land listing. In this case, since this is a house, my house, we're going to go the standard route. So a few of the required documents for listings is always going to be obviously the exclusive authorization and right to sell. The exclusion, owner's off for temporary delay into the listing into the MLS. We're always going to need the Florida Transaction Broker Notice form signed. And then the clients will always have to complete the other documents that have the word required in front of them. A seller's property disclosure is always going to be needed if the client ever occupied or did any work on the property. If neither of those apply, then they would fill out the seller non-occupancy disclosure. If the property was built prior to the year 1978, the lead-based paint disclosure needs to be filled out. For the time being, though, let's just go through filling out a listing agreement. Let me backpedal here. First, we have to add our people. You'll scroll all the way down in your loop and go to add person, and you will put in your seller contacts. If you have more than one seller, you'll have to add them all here. Designate them as a seller. Make sure it includes their email address. Once they've all been added, then you're going to come and fill out the necessary documents associated with the type of listing it is for sale. You have the option to autofill from the details that were imported when you created the loop and the people that you added. And from here, you will fill out all the necessary terms fields throughout your listing agreement. You'll want to be sure that the length of the agreement is clearly outlined here with correct dates, your listing price. This section is for the commission that we would be receiving as the listing brokerage. This section down here is for if you also end up assisting an unrepresented buyer. So this field should always be the same or a little bit more than what we have up here. We're going a little bit further down. You're going to need to make sure that you're answering the questions in sections 7 and 8 correctly. Any items that are included in the sale or excluded from the sale should be listed here, as well as anything relating to solar panels. And then when you're coming down here to additional terms and commissions, anything that should apply would go here. When it comes to our transaction fees, you'll want to make sure that you're putting it in this upper section in part 5. So let's say, for example, for my listing, I'm going to be paying my listing broker 3%, but I'm also going to be covering the $5.95 transaction fees. So we will hit other and we will include just like so. Okay, so we're going to say that my listing agreement starts today. We're going to give this a few months to stay on the market and find a buyer. We're going to list this one for 300. We have our commission, we have our transaction fee. Should my agent assist with an unrepresented buyer, total commission will be 3.5% instead. This section here, this buyer list, this is going to be entirely up to you in the discussion you have with your client. Down here, authorization to remote. If your client is looking for the most exposure possible, you're going to want all of these to be selected. And this is entirely up to you and your client as well. And in most cases, you're going to be installing a sign or a lockbox on the property unless the community does not allow it. Once we go through the form, we're going to make sure that whichever clients end up populating into the seller name fields here, that their signature fields are assigned to them. So you'll have to click on signature or initial fields like so, and make sure that you are assigning them to your client. You want it to say your client's name in these boxes. That's how you know they're properly assigned. Once you've done the same thing to any other required documents, the Florida Transaction Broker Notice, flood disclosures, our internal required forms, which would be the seller acknowledgement, the ABA, the wire fraud, and anything else like the property utility information, property disclosure, HOA riders, condo riders, all that good stuff. Once you're done filling everything out and you have all the fields assigned and all the details and all the required fields, you're going to hit save. And if you're going to be sending these documents out in a packet to your client to sign off on, you can hit these boxes next to each one that you have filled out and that you know will require them to complete, review, sign, etc. So at each box you select here, once you're done, you're going to hit share. You'll make sure that your client is showing up here as checked off and needing to sign, and then you'll hit share. Then your client is going to receive those in the email that you designated for them down here in the people section. And once they've signed everything, you should receive an alert via your email that those have been completed. And then you'll see the statuses over here, like how it says not shared here. This will change to signed or part signed or waiting for signatures. Okay. When these are showing as complete, then you will go over to SISU and you'll fill out your SISU form. Okay. When you're on your SISU dashboard, you're going to navigate to the transactions dropdown and you will click on transactions. And once your dashboard shows up, it's of course going to look a little different from mine. But when your dashboard shows up like this, you're going to go over here to this circle with a plus sign. Go to your listing agreement SISU form, and you're going to fill out all the required fields. They are all in bold. But if you have any details for these fields that are not in bold, it's highly recommended that you put in as much information as you can so that the listing coordinator has as much detail as possible when it comes time to facilitate your listing for you. So you'll have to put in your client's contact information, confirm your transaction type, which in this case is seller, your listing type, is this residential, is it land, is it multifamily, commercial, so on and so forth. When do you want it to go live? When did your client sign? And when does the listing expire? Okay. This MLS live date field, this is going to be filled out by the listing coordinator that's working on this for you. Entry into the MLS, this is if the listing is in fact going to be listed on the MLSs. If it's not, you'll put no. If there's more than one contact, you'll put the secondary contact details here. And then just like this suggests, if there are any additional people on the title to the property not previously listed, you're going to put all their extra names, phone numbers, emails, all that good stuff in here. And you're going to put in your property address. Which MLS is this going to be going into? Space Coast, or is it going to go into Stellar? Is it going to go into both? Okay, occupancy status. Is this vacant or is it occupied? Is it leased? What kind of financing terms is the seller okay with? If there are tenants, what are the tenants' names and phone numbers? How many bedrooms are there? When was it built? How many square feet is it? If you don't know this off the top of your head, you're going to find this in public record. Are there items that do not convey? Yes or no? If the answer here is yes, type in the items that will not convey with the sale of the property. Is there solar? Yes or no? Solar financed? Yes or no? Is the seller willing to offer a home warranty plan? Is the community gated? If it is, what's the gate code? Is there a pool? Is there a property with an HOA? So on and so forth until you make it through all of the required fields or any of the non-required fields that you fill out. Public and marketing remarks. These are the features that you're going to want to make your listing coordinator aware of so they know how to properly mark any of the features that are available for selection in the MLS and how to also ensure that the property MLS description is as full of as much information as possible so that the right buyer ends up finding this property. Is a lockbox needed? What kind are we using? If it's a combination, what's the code? Are we going to do a for sale sign? Are the signs allowed? Are we doing pictures? So on and so forth until you make it through the rest of the form. As we're getting further down this line here towards the bottom, you're going to start seeing a few more things that are a little more prevalent. Listing price commission, BAC, LAC. So BAC is buyer agent commission, LAC is listing agent commission, and so on and so forth. So we're going to go ahead and fill out those fields. If a mentor on the team assisted you with this, make sure you put any details in here about any commission splits that may be due to them. Then you're going to want to check your follow-up boss profile to see if you didn't already know who the ISA was that connected you with the customer. Is there a referral agreement with an outside agent? In this case, no. I mean, if I was selling my house with you guys, pretty sure I'd be your sphere. But if there is a referral, make sure you're putting those details here. You're answering with yes, you're putting in the source, you're putting in the email. So the source would be like the agent or whomever and their brokerage, and then what their contact email is, who our preferred title company is going to be for this listing. And then if it's not any of these from the drop down, then you're going to type in those details here, who the title company is, who the escrow officer's first and last name is, their email, phone number. Private notes can be used for anything additional, like, let's say, for instance, one of the clients is hearing impaired. Most communication should be done via text so that, they can read any of the communications involved with the sale of their home. Um, if there's like a special way to get into some kind of space within the property, that'd probably be a good thing to know about. Anything intricate or need to know like that. And then your listing submission date is the date that you're filling out this form. And then who the listing team member is that validated the listing for you. You'll hit update. So if you missed something, you're going to see this down here at the bottom left, a red triangle. Please fix the following form errors. So you're going to have to go back through your form here, and you're going to want to see which fields are red. Whichever ones are red are the ones that need your attention. Once that's been fixed, all you have to do is just hit update again. And then you should see this green check mark with a circle that says it's been updated. When you see this little notification down here at the bottom left, that means the listing coordinator should be receiving your submission form, and they will be in contact with you to discuss next steps, which should be setting up the picture appointment, preparing the property to go on the MLS, installing the sign and lockbox, all that good stuff. That should be it, folks. If you have any questions, just let us know.